Nice fish. Hi guys, I'm Zeno Hromin. I'm back with another installment of Fishing the Lures. Today I'm going to cover the daytime bag, and if you watch my nighttime bag episode, you will realize there's very little correlation between the two, which is very surprising. Not to me, but I think to a lot of you it's going to probably be a little bit surprising. I don't fish a lot in daytime. I find that obviously I only have a limited amount of time to fish, and if I can, I will fish in nighttime. Do I like seeing the fish strike and all that stuff that goes on in daytime? Yeah, I do. And in the fall, when we have migration and we can, trail the fish or follow it or intercept it or whatever, I try to put more time in the daytime. But fishing hasn't been great last few years. And whatever fishing was there to be had, it was a nighttime. So, that's why the daytime to me is not as important as it used to be. Having said that, if you're fishing areas like Cape Cod Canal, oh my God, daytime is your time. That is your time. If you, granted, the night bites always in Canal has been there for years for people who know what they're doing. But for most people, prefer the daytime and blitzing and the whole nine yards. And we did in Montauk when it was good. Now it's shit, so we're adjusting it. Just like you guys on Cape Cod Canal will adjust. Trust me, that day will come. But enjoy it, by all means. Enjoy while it lasts. By all means, I think it's awesome. So, as you've seen in my nighttime bag, I use a lot of needlefish and darters, basically primarily at nighttime, unless I use a bucktail. And those are my kind of go-to plugs and I change the stuff depending on conditions. Daytime bag, it's now, if you are a Connecticut angler, let's just say, okay, and you fish the protected bays, either Long Island Sound, which is not protected, but obviously there's no surf in it, or you fish, the mouths of the river Housatonic, or you fish the inside of the bays or somewhere, you're gonna find this whole conversation irrelevant and weird, because I only throw big stuff, because I only fish up front, meaning ocean. I don't really spend any time in the daytime on a back base. Honestly, I don't. So don't take my choice of plugs as something that you should carry in your bag if you're fishing Raritan Bay. You don't need a 3-ounce pencil popper, okay? Or you don't need a heavy popper or a giant metal lip. You probably can get away with smaller version of everything here. So that's all I'm going to mention, because sometimes people get caught on like, oh, this guy was talking about this, where can I buy it? And he had the yellow gun. No. Find, and I said this in previous videos, find stuff that works for you in your area by what other people are successful with, and then find your own niche or your own way of doing things. Let's see what I got in this bag that's daytime. I got needlefish, ball darter, I got some bucktails. So basically, I got some sluggos. So out of this whole thing, I guess I use a bucktail, not much more than that. Right here, this is my spare bag. I got some big pencil poppers. Actually, this is not a big one. This is a smaller version. I got my favorite, obviously, Super Strike. Again, pencil poppers, bottle plugs. So how is it different in the daytime than nighttime? Well, first of all, personally, I don't use needlefish in the daytime. Darters, one of the favorite lure, along with needlefish, I don't use it in the daytime. SP minnow, very rarely. This is just personal thing, okay? That's just the way I fish. Redfin, very rarely. Very rarely do I use a redfin in the daytime. What else is here that I don't use? Okay, most of this stuff I do use. So basically, what I'm left here, and these are all poppers, obviously, and I've used a lot of poppers in the daytime. I will admit that. I use a lot of poppers. I find poppers to be a fish-seeking missiles. I can cast them out far. I can work them different ways. I can pop them. I can work it as a pencil popper. You know, if I use a pencil popper, either a stubby version or this one, or you know, a guppy. I can use it to find if there's fish in the area. If I'm getting fish in close, trust me, I'm switching to a metal lip with like next cast. If I'm getting fish in the last quarter of my cast, you know, a hit, I'm switching to a metal lip. Why? All right. So if you work in a popper, obviously you got to work at certain speed. Even the pencil popper, although not as much as popper, you have to, you know, it keeps going forward. In order for you to make the motion where you shaking around and reeling, the plug's got to go forward in order to do what the pencil popper does best. Okay, but you can't stop it. And then, well, you can. Technically you can. It just doesn't look that good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I stop a pencil popper all the time when the fish are not aggressive, and then I start again and I get a hit a lot of times. But that doesn't usually happen in close. In close, to control the plug, you're much better with a metal lip if the fish are in close than you are with a popper or pencil popper. You can hold the metal lip in the wash a lot better, a lot longer. You can dive it underneath the rough water. You can do a lot of things with metal lip that you cannot do with a popper. Now, if the fish are on the outside of the cast, definitely popper, pencil popper. If the fish are not aggressive, by all means, pencil pop it and stop. And wait agonizingly, like 10 seconds, and then start again. A lot of times that will make the fish react. Okay, so they're not feeding, but they're reacting to lure or you know, whatever they think is an injured bait fish. So there'll be a lot of poppers, a lot of pencil poppers in my bag. There will be metal lips will be based on conditions and location. You know, I'm not and season too. You know, I'm not going to carry early in the spring if I don't have bunker big metal lips. Usually I'm not. As we go into May, June, they'll get bigger. If they are on small bait, I will probably go with a smaller metal lip. If I have a strong wind, I might take a better casting metal lip than I would if I was, you know, if it's a flat condition where I can use any of the metal lips. If it's a rough surf, I won't use the metal lip with a Surfcaster lip because it doesn't tend to work as well. If you got flat water, the Surfcaster lip, which is basically a scoped up face. I don't think I have one handy. You know, this is called the Z lip, okay, because it looks like a Z, where these scoped ones on the Surfcaster tend to get caught in a wave and then they just wiggle uncontrollably and get washed off. You can't really work them underneath the wave. So basically that will be, poppers will be my primary plugs, okay, for the surf. In addition to the popper, I will have a bottle plug depending on the condition. This usually goes in the fall and in a rough surf in the spring. I will not carry this on the, you know, your normal, quote unquote, southwest wind 5 to 15 miles an hour. I generally don't carry bottle plugs. I just don't, okay? I don't find it to be necessary. Unless there's bait that I'm trying to match, unless there's herring, and, you know, I'll take a herring plug with me. At nighttime, however, I will, but in the daytime, not as much. So basically, I know it's kind of narrow, and that's fine because this is how I fish, and you might fish totally different. You might fish a lot of bombers, you might fish a lot of Yazuris and stuff like that. I generally fish a lot of bucktails and a lot of poppers, like in between, and then throw the metal lip in there depending on conditions, how big are the fish, how they're hitting. You know, anytime I'm getting a lot of fish and they're in close, I'm going to switch to a bucktail. I just don't want to deal with, you know, 2 sets of trebles with crazy bluefish, especially on the rocks, on the jetties. I don't want to be deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I just don't. I'd rather miss few fish, which trust me, this is a misconception. You don't miss fish on bucktails. And when you hit the fish on bucktails, usually the hook goes in, the bob is big, and you don't drop it either. So, you know, that's the way I'm looking at that. There's different types of poppers that I'll take. This is a Green Eye Super Strike, which is 3 ounce. It casts better than a 2 3/8 of an ounce, which is everybody's favorite, which is this one, but it doesn't pop as well. It doesn't pop as consistent. It doesn't throw as much water, but it casts a little further. If you need to deliver a heavier payload, you can always go with a slower popper, which is a floater, where on the flat conditions you can just pop and stop. Like, you know, like fresh water, when the freshwater guys go pop, 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 and then he stops, and then pop, and then the bass explodes. You can do that with a floating popper in a back bays generally. Not in the ocean surf doesn't work as well. Although you could definitely pause your poppers. But that has to do more with the way and retrieves and the way you fish than it does with what's in my bag. Obviously, the pencil poppers, you know how to work it, and just stop. Don't stop reeling, even if the fish is on it. Don't get all excited and try to set the hook. If you're doing this and you're reeling, lefty or righty, I don't know which hand you go, but if you're doing this and you're reeling and the fish is on, just keep doing that until fish hooks itself and then set the hook. Don't try to, oh my God, I'm getting a hit, I'm going to try to set the hook. Don't set the hook. Let the action of the rod when a bass hits it, or bluefish, will set the hook. Then you just got to do it one more time just to make sure it's in. I'll use a lot of pins I'm not. Okay? I always say that, and I always have them, but I don't use them. Unless we have a sand eel bite, I'm not going to use a lot of tins. If we have a sand eel bite, yes, I will use a lot of tins in the daytime. Absolutely. There's a wonderful videos on how to fish tins. I'm going to give you a link right here. You can go and watch one man who fishes nothing but tins. Charlie Graves tins. This is Ralph Moda. He's a maker of Charlie Graves tins. He's a West End tackle. He's been doing it for, oh my God, as long as I've been alive. He's an awesome fisherman. I'll give you a really, really good primer of how to fish tins. Do I have it with me? Yes. If the sand eels are not around, will I use them? No. It's just not my style. I'm more of a bucktail than a tin guy. I don't think you can be good at everything. I don't think you should be good at everything. I don't think you can throw everything. Otherwise, I'll be back at carrying a suitcase. So these are my weapons for the daytime. A popper of different type of configurations. Pencil popper, again, big 3-ounce, small compact, wide ones, different ones. Few different metal lips, this pencil popper probably costs what, $3, $4 or $5. It's cotton cordell. It's one of the cheapest pencil poppers in the market. This thing will catch more fish in a back bay than any of these other plugs will. For whatever reason, when you fish a flat conditions in the daytime, like the back bays of Long Island Sound or Raritan Bay, the fish gets attracted to this rattle, okay? Which, in my opinion, and it's light, so it kind of splashes nicely on that flat water, where I find this gets lost in the ocean surf with a tumbling surf and all that noise and the waves crashing. I don't think that is a great fish attractant, in those conditions. So that's why I like it in a quieter water than in rough surf, if that makes any sense. These guys, this is like Jetty Ghost. These tins that they make with like sand eel like profile with a keel. This is beautiful. This looks exactly like a sand eel. So that would be basically the primer. I'm a simpleton. You can call me a simpleton, but this is what I use in daytime. Your standard. You wrap my finger. You got my tactical angler clip. I got my 36-inch leader, and I got some popping plugs. Few metal lips. Definitely bucktails. Definitely a few tins. And this mostly is relegated to fishing the beaches. I rarely fish the inlets in the daytime, in the fall. I rarely fish the jetties in the inlets during the daytime in the summer and spring. It's too many boats, too many guys bait fishing. In the fall it gets, people go away, especially on a bad day, on weather-wise, so you can kind of go in there and get your stuff done. But I find that I'll throw a bucktail 99% of the time, unless I have some big bunker around where I need to reach them with a pencil pop and there's some fish around them. I'll be throwing a bucktail most of the time. Will I have other lures with me in the daytime or even at nighttime, like a Yozori Mag Darter or Crystal Minnow or Hydro Minnow? Yes, but again, those are not my prime plugs. This is what I live with, and I explained to you many times already doing these videos. There's plugs that I live with, and then there's stuff that I take as an add-on. So I'm willing to go to battle with this. What else am I going to add? It depends on conditions and depends on bait and depends on time of the year. So if you like what we do, subscribe please to our YouTube channel. There's a link at the bottom here. Go check out our magazine, surfcasterjournal.com. We've been doing it for 10 years. It comes out bi-monthly. You have a large section of it that you can read it without being a subscriber. But again, pay it forward, help someone else. That's how we all got where we are. So not more than that on daytime back. See you at the beach. Boy, I need this coffee.